Hey everybody, for today's video, I thought I would talk about the 10, wow, there's a thumbnail. God, that's so stupid. Games that I wish I played more of. These are games that I own in my collection, but as you can see behind me, I have a fairly sizable collection. Not as sizable as most of you who are watching this, but still pretty sizable. And so I thought, this is a video idea that I've had in my head for a while of wanting to do. And I actually wanted to do it with my friend Matt, who was in the cottage games. He and I have had an outstanding sort of once a month meetup that we got together maybe 5 months of last year to do. So pretty good, this once a month meetup of playing games in our collections that don't get played. And there are always going to be games that you love and that do not get played for whatever reason, whether it's your partner who doesn't like them or you just can't get the group together enough to do it. These things happen, or it's too heavy. It's too heavy a game to get to the table. I know for Matt and I, that was a lot of our mandate, was getting really heavy games that only like he and I really like to play. And trying to get them off of his shelf and off of mine. So I was going to do it with him, and then we are now no longer friends. We were no longer friends. We had a horrible game of Trajan, and I cut him from my life completely. No, it just hasn't. When we get together, we want to play games, and he doesn't want to film. So that's okay. I figured I would add in an extra 5 of my own. And this list might have shifted a little bit too, because thanks to that outstanding once a month date, I feel satisfied by some of the games that might have been on the list that I've actually gotten a chance to play a lot more. A lot of them being from his collection, because he has a bunch of games that I haven't played. He really likes heavy, chunky games. We played like the Gallerist the other day, the last time we met up. So that was really fun. We also played one of these games and he hated it. And spoiler alert, that's my number 1. But let's get right into number 10. Starting off with kind of an obvious one, which I'm not going to pull down off the shelf, but that's Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven, I think, is a lot of fun, and it's one that I haven't played enough. Wow, what a surprise. That's the criteria for this list, and it meets that criteria. I'm playing this with my former friend and now nemesis, Josh. And perhaps this is the reason why he is now my nemesis, perhaps not. It's not the reason. The reason is far more insidious than that. But this is the downside of committing to a campaign with someone who isn't as interested in board games as you are. Josh and I have a lot of other interests. Ballads, boys. We love a lot of things. But we were playing Gloomhaven together, and I think we got off to like a really rocky start because we chose 2 characters that weren't really compatible, kind of like me and Josh, so I thought it was fitting. But he was the sorcerer who wants to stay away from people, and I'm the rogue who wants to be right next to my friends, but also a melee character. Which doesn't work very well, and is annoying that those two, their symbiosis is very weird. So we haven't played a lot of Gloomhaven. I think we've played, I don't know, 10 games or so of it, which in the grand scheme of things in a large collection, 10 games is a lot of games. In the grand scheme of Gloomhaven, it's not a lot of progression. Especially if you keep dying over and over again, which I like and certain other people do not. So that's why Gloomhaven is my number 10, but it's the furthest down here because I am aware it'll never be played ever again. I know it won't. It will one day once I get someone into Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion and play through that, which I do own and haven't yet played. Because I like Gloomhaven a lot, I want to get someone else hooked in through that, and then we can play Gloomhaven together, and then Josh can finally, go on his merry way. But it's because I know it's not going to get played for a while, and so I kind of resigned myself to that. Continuing on the campaign game train, another game that I really want to play a lot of is Etherfields. I've actually really enjoyed my time of Etherfields. You're not going to find Tainted Grail on this list, and I have about the same. Hi. See, I'm playing Tainted Grail with Artie, and he just keeps bossing me around. Maybe his purring will be caught in the camera. Etherfields is one that I have been really enjoying, but the pandemic stopped us from playing it, and we just never got back into it. The problem with campaign games is that you want the same people to continue on playing with you. And while that was exciting to me at a time, as my schedule gets more and more booked, it's less exciting because I don't have all the free time in the world, and neither do the people who I was playing the campaign with. I was playing this with Brandon and Zach. We're doing a 3-player game of Etherfields. Yes, you're a good boy. And I have a ton of Etherfields just off screen that I can't reach anymore. But that's okay. I think we're both happy about it. That's in shrink because I went all in foolishly on Etherfields and we've barely scratched the first bit. But I thought Etherfields was really fun. The deck building is fun. It's kind of deck construction over the course of campaigns, right? You're going to market in between your scenarios and then using the deck that you've built to use those scenarios, which is kind of interesting because I'm not like a huge deck construction fan, but I think because you're adding to it over time and like slowly adding and eliminating stuff, that's what makes it more exciting. And the dreams have been interesting and unique. I think we really started on the right dream. If I had started with the other dream in the maze or whatever, instead of the one in the other maze. And the garden one was less interesting than the one that was in like a dark maze. But they've all felt really unique, and there's definitely enough there that makes me actively be interested in going back to it. Whereas Tainted Grail, the story really didn't pull me in, and the battle system seemed fun, but it was more choose your own adventure. And this one feels like more of a game. So that's why Etherfields is on this list. Tainted Grail isn't on this list. I might give it one more go, but I could see that one leaving the collection pretty soon. So that's number 9. Number 8 also brings an end to campaign games. I didn't want this to be just campaign games, but I had to be honest with myself and say, yeah, I do want to play these more. And that's Pandemic Legacy Season 1. I know. We got halfway through a game of Pandemic Legacy Season 1, and then we stopped, and it didn't work out whatsoever. And I think it was the pandemic, or I think it was people getting busy, and we also have 4 people who signed up to play that from 3 different households. And so organizing those schedules is difficult when we live at 3 different points of the city as well, and getting to anywhere is like a 40-minute drive. It just feels like that's never going to happen, which is unfortunate because Pandemic Legacy still remains one of like the most awesome experiences that I've had, and I only played half of it. It's just so good, or at least what I remember of it is so good. Yeah, getting comfy? It just is, yeah, it was just so much fun, such an awesome twist on the system, and one that I really am excited to finish playing if we can get our friggin' act together over a holiday or something and just bang it out over a couple days. That would be awesome. That would be a friggin' blast. Number 7 on my list is Too Many Bones. I will have a review of Too Many Bones, Undertow, and the Automaton of Shale coming up. I think I've decided the order of things that I will film and put out. But Too Many Bones is a system which I understand why people want to get everything for it. I only have Undertow, and I've only played like 3, I've only seen 4 characters total, because I've played with some people who have the base game. But it's a fun system. I like the leveling up. I like the journey that you get to go on. And I like figuring out the individual characters. If you don't like figuring out individual characters and that doesn't excite you, then it's not a thing that you would want to go down, a path that you'd want to pursue. Get comfy over there, just off screen, so people can finally focus on me again. Artie's been sick, been really sick the past few days, actually, and he's finally feeling better. So I'm very happy that he's feeling better. It was a rough go, wasn't it, bud? But he's finally getting his appetite back, which is great. But it also means he'll want to participate in more and more videos. So I guess it's great for all of us. Do you want a little mousey? You want a mousey? Let's get you a mousey, huh? But yeah, exploring those different characters and figuring out how they interact with the board, plus all the different baddies with all of their different keywords. It's annoying to upkeep and it's fiddly to play, but it's enjoyable enough to have different things to consider as you're playing and how to navigate who do you punch first. I mean, for me, basically now there's a tier of bad effects that the other people can have. And like, okay, if you have that effect, who cares? But if you have this effect, well, we better kill you first. It's kind of by the numbers in terms of how you go through it. But I think there's enough choices of tech paths that are fun and interesting to play and that make you feel strong and powerful, and you just get to chuck some dice, that it's a fun game. And I also feel like I want all the characters because I want to explore all of those different options more. But I'm always mindful of this mentality as well. And that's why it's at number 7, Yeah, I'm still excited to play it, but I'm still excited to play Undertow. This is why it makes the list. I only have Undertow. I only intend to have Undertow. And I'm still excited to get Undertow out and to play and to see what it has to offer. But I also want every other character in existence. I think it's a combo. I think it's a combo because I really like exploring the characters. And it's also because board gaming can be kind of an addiction and you want everything. Or at least I do. But I think Too Many Bones is still fun enough and fresh enough to me that I want to get it to the table. And this is actually saying something because the reviews are coming out. I have been playing it more recent than any other games on this list, and I still feel like there's more for me to explore. And I think that says something really great about Too Many Bones. So quite have enjoyed playing that and look forward to playing more of it and really feeling like I know the system in and out. I think because there's so much to it, or so many little keywords and whatever, I don't feel like I could have a streamlined game yet. And so I'd like to get to that point where I can have a streamlined game and play it. Yeah, you know what? If I had time tonight, I would, just talking about it, I would pull it out and play a solo game. Anyway, that's number 7. Number 6 is a big area control game. Plays 3 to 5 people, although the new version that just came out, it was in 2012, and then now there's a newer version that came out. Might be able to play 2. I don't think it can. It might be able to play 2. Let me know if it can play 2. That's Kemet. Kemet is number 6. I think Kemet is a very fun game. I love how simple Kemet is. It's the first to 10 points wins. That's it. It's fun area control. You get to go again down these skill tree paths and get different powers for your clans. And then you just want to control the most bases enough times to get 10 points. And I like that it can fluctuate. It's a really solid area control game, but I find I will gravitate more towards other area control games when I bring things to people's houses. And honestly, it's because of the size of the box, because it's a weird, lengthy shape, that it doesn't get played as much as I would like to. It is only because of the box that I should just cut in half and shorten. Again, box size does matter. And I'm telling you that smaller is better. And everyone agrees, okay? Everyone agrees. That's the feedback I have been receiving, and no other different feedback, all right? But it does matter because I would be bringing it to game nights more often if it was smaller, because I'd bring a bag of games and I think about how I can economize and be efficient with my space in the bag of games. And Kemet often doesn't make the cut because I'm like, okay, I could bring that, or I could bring 2 options for people to choose from. And so I always bring 2 options. But I think it's a really fun game. I like it a ton. I need to make little trays to pass around the power tokens that are out there. I think that would be pretty solid to have there as well. Yeah, really enjoy Kemet. Want to play more of it. This is also a list of things that aren't in danger of leaving the collection, you know what I mean? Like, because I want to actively play more of it, and knowing my time, well, then it's not going to leave ever for at least 10 years until I can play it enough. Now, number 5, this is almost the oldest on this list. It's not, it came out in 2007. This is an old classic that I think has been around enough that people who have it, maybe when they got it, when they were first starting to get into board gaming, they played it a bunch and were able to kind of overplay it. But I didn't have that experience. I kind of got into it around the time I was getting into everything else. And that's by Uwe Rosenberg, Agricola. I really like Agricola, and I find myself thinking, man, I kind of just want to play Agricola right now. And it's always surprising to me because it feels like it's in that sort of older game. It feels like it's in that realm of things that you've played a ton and aren't going to play anymore. And I just think it's really fun. I like the cards, and I like how quick it can play. It is surprisingly quick. And that's why I don't know why I haven't pulled it out as much. Maybe if Renee wanted to play it more, we would play it more. But you could just pull it out and be really, really quick and really fun. I think I like Le Havre more than Agricola on like a gameplay basis. But I have played more Le Havre recently, and I just find myself a little bit more nostalgic for Agricola. Between Agricola and Caverna, I think I would want to play Agricola. That's why it's on this list. And that's why I'm not over at Zach's right now, because he owns Caverna. Screw you, Zach. I'm busy filming. Yeah, it's surprising to me to think about it being on this list because it feels like you should have played it enough by now, but I haven't. I haven't played it enough, and I don't know. I'm very excited. Honestly, the top half of this list, these top 5, are all things that I actively want to get out and play right now. But I don't have anyone home except for Artie, and he eats the pieces. That's not how. Oh no! Speak of the devil. To be clear, he wasn't sick because he ate the pieces. Okay, I'm a good cat owner. Even though when I dumped all the pieces of Galactic Era on my head for the golden buzzer moment, I lost one of them, and I don't know where it is. But if I don't know where it is, then Artie probably doesn't either. Plus, I think it's at Zach's. I feel like I never had it to begin with. On to number 4. What's number 4? Number 4 is also what I think is considered sort of a newer classic. It's been around for a while now. 7 years ago, this came out, which is wild to me because it still feels like this game feels like it's been around for a while, but also feels still so fresh. I think that's why I want to keep playing it. That's Terraforming Mars. Terraforming Mars should need no introduction. Terraforming Mars is a game that Renee hates, and that is why it is on this list. Because often I'm like, oh man, I really feel like playing Terraforming Mars right now. And Renee will say, I hate that game. Play with yourself, she often says to me. And I finally have the Prelude expansion because I took it from World Series of Board Gaming because I needed to be able to take pictures of the cards. So now I have it in my copy of Terraforming Mars. And yes, I like that I have it. I still think it's too expensive for what it is, and I would happily play base Terraforming Mars. But it's fun with the Prelude expansion, okay? I get it. Maybe that makes me want to play it more. I don't think so. I think I like playing it, I like playing it more, but I would want, it would be on this list equally because I don't get to play it as much as I would like, and it's just such a solid game. And that's why it's number 6 on Board Game Geek, but it's number 4 on my list, so take that. Number 3 is one of my sort of surprise picks to make the list interesting. But I think it is worth talking about because I think this game gets a bit of a bad rap for the amount of time that it supposedly takes to play a full game. People are like, it takes 4 hours to play this full game. It's never taken me 4 hours. And that is Abomination, Heir of Frankenstein. Art Abomination. Half-hour cuddle break, as you do. But let's me grab this box. Abomination, Heir of Frankenstein. The complaint was that the regular variant, the regular version of the game, and not the Igor variant, goes for like 4 hours. But I wanted to play the original version instead of the Igor variant so I could figure out, the basics of the game, where it started, etc. And it was fine. It was completely fine. I'll explain more about this one since I feel like not many people have played it. It's worker placement. You're running around to get body parts. And as you get these body parts, they degrade over time. And so you can only get them and use them to reanimate certain parts of your own corpse, and you got to reanimate the whole corpse once, and then you got to put skin on the corpse, which requires additional types of body parts, etc. As you raise your stats in different tracks and whatever, you can get more workers to put out in places, and your bigger workers can obviously steal more brains than your smaller workers. Essentially, that's how it kind of works. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. We played it around October, and I think it's one that I think gets a bad rap. I think people are scared by it, but it is definitely worthwhile checking out if you like worker placement, if you like that genre. I want to get my father's work. I reached out to Renegade and said, hey, send me my father's work so I can play it and then do a comparison between these two. They never got back to me, but they might. But I'd like to see how that compares because I know it's a very similar theme. But until I play that, Abomination is going to be the way to go, the way for me at least. I think it's a lot of fun, and the act of getting the little body parts and flipping them over and electrocuting your body to have it turn up, and the fact that there are 2 different win conditions. The hunter can catch Frankenstein, and if the hunter catches the monster rather, then you don't get as many points for your body parts as you might have, because they're kind of out of fashion and everyone wants to be on the side of the hunter, and instead you get more points for your humanity. So I like those 2 different sort of end conditions that are built in there. I didn't find it to be too long. It's only ever taken me 2 hours, but I've only played 2-player version as well. Zach and I have played this one a couple times, and I think it's a lot of fun. Zach agreed with me, so That's why it's my number 3, something we would be happy to play again. Number 2, it's close with my number 1, but my number 1 takes it because I know nobody's going to want to play this with me, and I feel people will want to play this with me. My number 2 is also down here that I grabbed while Artie was away, and that's Spirit Island. Spirit Island is friggin' fun, and there are 8 different spirits in here. They all play differently. I have not played all 8 of them. I think I've seen all 8 of them, or almost, but I've also never played with the additional foes. I've always played the generic foe, and I've always had no trouble winning this game, so maybe that's the reason why I've never had any problems winning this game. It's because I haven't been playing at the full difficulty level. I think there's so much in this that this base game has to offer that I haven't even scratched the surface of, and I'd like to continue playing with it. The act of playing it is very fun. I find it takes a little bit long, and you have to trust that your other person is doing what they need to do. Again, this isn't one that I would play more than 2 players. Probably not. It just feels like that would be too long of waiting for everybody to make their decisions. But the bones of this game are really neat. And that's why I can see why people like this as a solo game as well. Talking about solo games and just not having the chance to play it, you know? Oh yeah, this one's got dust on it. You can see the last time I played this one. Maybe this is a candidate for solo gaming or an intro to solo gaming. Solo gaming does well on YouTube, so maybe I need to get into it more. Yeah, but Spirit Island is just, it's a friggin' blast. I don't regret purchasing this whatsoever. And I think it also speaks volumes that this is the opposite opinion of Too Many Bones. There is so much content in here and so many different characters and so many different things to try out that I don't feel the need to get expansions. And I think that is the mark of a really great game, is that you have so much content packed into the box and you don't need that aspect of it, or you don't feel the pull of needing to get something else out. Just checking what Artie was up to. He's just sitting at the top of the stairs. Don't you worry. Yeah, Spirit Island is great. The art is beautiful. The pieces are nice. I gotta get that to the table again. And here's the number 1. I'll get it off the shelf. The number 1 game that I would like to play more of. And it's just because I know nobody will ever play this with me. And this will probably end up being featured in a Games Leaving the Collection video at some point when I find I need the space again because I've gotten too many big boxes. And that is a game from 2005, the oldest on this list. I don't have the version with the weird face, but it's Kalis. There's a version. That version. Yeah, there we go. Picture's worth 1,000 words, so don't say anything else about it. Kalis is a great game, and I don't care if everyone who I've played it with hates it and never wants to play it again. I do want to play it again. I think it's awesome. It's kind of known as the grandfather of worker placement, as you work your way up along a pathway, or rather you add additional spots up along this pathway that really only you can access. This pathway here, there's all these little spaces for buildings. Look, there's some buildings. Some buildings there. Now you want more buildings as it goes down the pathway. But the reason why everybody hates this game, and maybe it's because, well, if a game is mean, I'm going to play it meanly. I will play the game as it's designated to be played. You can also be building things up in this castle, and you're going to have to do that too. But down when you're building things on the other sort of trail board, there's this little provost, and he's walking along the path. And you can move him up and down the path, and only buildings that are before the provost on the path are allowed to be activated. And this wouldn't be that mean, except you first put all your workers down one at a time, and then you're going to activate them all later. And that wouldn't be that mean if it didn't cost you money, and money's really important to get in this game, to put a person down in a spot. And that wouldn't be that mean if then after you'd put that person down in the spot and everyone had put it down, you can then spend money to move the provost up, to deny people being able to play and take the benefit of the space that they just went for. It's mean. It's a mean game. I realize it's a mean game, but that's also the strategy, okay? And just because somebody was taking advantage of that strategy and somebody else was thinking they could get a whole bunch of resources for completely free and didn't need to spend the money to solidify that, well, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you should have held on to some money, all of you, to make sure that you could take that action instead of not being able to do anything on your turn and then getting upset about it. You can see literally everyone who I've played this game with, though, has hated it, and I think it's awesome because of that tactical decision making. I think that's really interesting, or rather, it's just really mean. It is, but it is there because some of the buildings are really good, and so you're balancing out. Okay, my opponent is getting this, I'm only getting this. Is it worth it for us to work together to move the provost down, or give up what I've gotten and invest in other things further up the track, which are generally going to be worse actions, right? As the game progresses, the worse actions, the things that were the easier to be built, the things that were the easiest to build are going to be up at the top of the track, and the things that are better are at the bottom of the track. So the things that are going to generate you a lot of points. And so then you don't know, you're not guaranteed that you can just go on this spot. It's also incredibly mean because if you go on someone else's building, you have to pay them right away. And then you can not even get the benefit from it if it doesn't get active. Yeah, it's a brutal game. It really is. It's one that I think is really good, and I would play a ton if I had the group that enjoyed it. But since I don't have the group to enjoy it, that's why it sits at number 1, because I know it's going to be a long time before I play Caelus again. Any Caelus fans out there? Can you agree? Do you agree? Disagree? I don't know. I think I was watching something that said Caelus was bad with 2 people, and that's the first one that I tried, and I was like, hey, listen, they said it was bad with 2 people. We just have more people. It's the same, really. It's just more people to move the provost on you. Or more people to help save you, so I guess that was a benefit. But yeah, those are the 10 games that I would like to play a lot more of. Will I? No. I'm too busy. But I'd like to, and I enjoyed talking about them with you. So let me know down in the comments, what is your number 1 game that you wish you played more of? I always like hearing from you, as always. Or don't, or just go on with your life. That's fine too. Just leave a like. Cool. Thanks. Subscribe? Thanks. Sign up for Patreon? No, you don't have to. That's too much, really. That's too much. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. My name's Chris George. I don't have a catchphrase, and I understand why I don't have friends anymore. And that is also, well, there's a reason for that too. But hey, at least I have you. This is the thing about friends, right? They're replaceable. Caelus, board games are forever.